Hello, dear Madridistas. Before we start the video, subscribe to support the channel, and stay until the end to get all the information. The Santiago Bernabeu holds its breath, and the football world is shaken. This is not a simple injury. This is not a passing warning. This is an earthquake, a brutal shock, a silent explosion striking right at the heart of one of the most feared teams on the planet. Thibaut Courtois, the wall, the last line of defense, Real Madrid's lifeline, is down. And this time, it's not just a hard blow. It's a blood-chilling injury, a serious muscle lesion in the right quadriceps, worse than expected, far more serious than the club initially wanted to make people believe. Behind the cautious statements, behind the carefully chosen words, the truth is brutal. Real Madrid is losing its number one goalkeeper at the most critical moment of the season. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can compensate for such an absence. It all begins in that titanic clash against Manchester City. A high-tension match, a tactical war, and a league duel where every detail counts. Courtois, as always, is imperial, focused, impenetrable. Until that moment. That moment when everything changes. A wrong push, a misstep, a searing pain running through the thigh. He grimaces. He tries to continue, but the images don't lie. The Belgian giant is no longer himself. And behind the scenes, the first signals are alarming. Very alarming. At first, it's described as a muscle strain. Nothing serious. Rest for a few days, and he'll be back. But reality is very different. Medical exams reveal a muscle lesion in the rectus femoris, part of the right quadriceps. And very quickly, other sources mention a wider injury, with pain in the adductors. Translation: this is not a minor injury. It's complex, delicate, treacherous. An injury that does not forgive haste. An injury that can destroy the end of a season, or more. And then everything accelerates. The verdict falls like a sentence. Several weeks out. 4, 5, no. The most credible estimates talk about 6 weeks. 6 weeks away from the pitch. 6 weeks without the goalkeeper who has carried Real Madrid on his shoulders in the biggest European battles. 6 weeks without the one who alone can turn a Champions League match. And the consequences are immediate. Terrible. Merciless. The schedule doesn't forgive. The derby is approaching. A match filled with emotion, tension, pride. A match where every save can make history. And Courtois will not be there. But that's not all. The worst is yet to come. Much more worrying. The Champions League quarterfinals loom. Against Bayern Munich. A war machine. A team that leaves no room for error. And Real Madrid will have to face this monster without its number one goalkeeper. This is where the situation becomes almost unreal. Almost shocking. How can you imagine Real Madrid, in full pursuit of European glory, without Thibaut Courtois? How can you replace a player capable of pulling off impossible saves, breaking the morale of opposing strikers, turning chances into despair? The answer is simple. You don't replace Courtois. You try to survive without him. In the locker room, the shock is immense. The players know it. Words aren't even necessary. Courtois is not just a goalkeeper. He's a presence, an aura, mental security. When he's behind the goal, the defense plays differently. It takes fewer risks. It breathes better. Without him, everything changes. Everything becomes more fragile, more uncertain. And then there's the psychological aspect. Because this injury doesn't only affect the body. It seeps into minds. It plants doubt. It creates an invisible yet very real gap. In big moments, details often make the difference. And losing a player of this caliber is losing much more than a simple starter. On the medical staff side, caution is total. No rushing his return. A relapse would be catastrophic. And with this type of injury, the risk is enormous. The quadriceps is a key muscle. Every movement, every jump, every stretch engages this area. Returning too soon is playing with fire. And at Real Madrid, they know better than anyone. A management mistake can cost a career. Meanwhile, the season continues. Matches follow one another, and every game without Courtois becomes a test. A constant question. Who will take his place? Who will handle this enormous pressure? Who will rise in decisive moments? Because it's not just about replacing a goalkeeper. It's about replacing a living legend. A player who has already made history at the club. A man who, on great European nights, became an impenetrable wall. Fans remember it. Opponents too. And today, his absence leaves an abyssal void. And as if that weren't enough, this injury has international repercussions. Courtois will miss the next Belgium national team gathering. A hard blow for Belgium, who were counting on their leader to prepare for the 2026 World Cup. Because beyond Real Madrid, an entire nation depends on him. And seeing their number one goalkeeper in the infirmary, it's a major concern. But back to Real Madrid. This is where the impact is most immediate, most violent. Carlo Ancelotti must now reorganize his team, find solutions, adapt his system. But can you really compensate for such a loss? Can you really recreate that assurance, that serenity, that ability to perform miracles? The answer, once again, is brutal, no. And this is where the danger becomes real. Because in knockout matches, a single mistake can change everything. A wrong position, hesitation, a failed sortie, and it's over. The European dream collapses. And without Courtois, these errors become more likely. Much more likely. Yes, Real Madrid has resources. Yes, the team is talented. Yes, they have overcome obstacles before. But this time is different. This time, the last line of defense falls. And in a war, when the shield disappears, the consequences can be dramatic. Fans oscillate between hope and worry. They want to believe. They want to think the team will rise to the occasion. But deep down, one question haunts them. Can you really win the Champions League without Thibaut Courtois? It's a legitimate question, a troubling question, a question that, for now, remains unanswered. Because football, as unpredictable as it may be, sometimes obeys ruthless logic. And losing a key player at the worst moment is often the start of a decline. A fall, a broken dream. But Real Madrid is a club apart. A club that defies the odds. A club that turns crises into opportunities. And maybe this injury will trigger a new story. A new hero. An unexpected feat. Or maybe not. Because reality is here. Cold. Relentless. Courtois is injured. Seriously. And his absence could redefine the entire season for Real Madrid. One thing is certain. The coming weeks will be decisive. Crucial. Historic. And without the giant goalkeeper, the Madridistas now walk a tightrope. Thank you for watching the video. I'm counting on you to subscribe and share.